Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA TLC Thursday Cup and Super Cup series as we here at the Sugarlands Distillery 250 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Now, you know what that means. This is going to be a wild ride as we tackle this half mile, essentially bowl of a racetrack. The banking here is quite substantial. I do believe 26 degrees. Definitely would be very hard to walk up these turns here. And of course, I've actually had quite a bit of time at this racetrack this week, Big Al. Kind of turning some laps and doing some races. And I tell you what, I sure am excited for this one.
That's what I tell you. I totally understand what you're saying. Bristol Motor Speedway is definitely one of Big Al's favorites. As this is the last Coliseum, and I'm so glad that we get to come back here, Brian, and we are racing on concrete. Because the last couple of races that we've been here have been actually having this track covered in dirt. So tonight we need to get back to our roots and see what these next gen cars can do at this little 0.52 mile track.
Yeah, definitely going to be a night of rocking and rolling out here as these guys are going to be beating and banging short track action, but almost like a super speedway here as qualifying is going to be now getting underway. These guys are going to have 5 minutes to get their laps in. Of course, lap times around this place very, very quick. About a 14.7, 14.6 should be the fastest we'll see here tonight. But I know that my money's on the guys that are just going to hit 15 flats and try to get it on the long run. Tire saving is going to be huge here, Big Al.
Yeah, absolutely. Just walking around talking to some of these crews the day prior to the race, and everybody echoed the same sentiment, Brian. That everybody said that the key for them to be at the end of this thing is going to be conserving their tires. So they were hoping that they could actually even get green flag pit stops, but everybody was pretty doubtful of that even in itself.
100%. Well, the race facts here for the Sugarland Distillery 250 is 250 laps here that we are going to be conquering. Stages are going to be 50 and 100. 6 sets of tires. That means I do believe 5 down in the pits. And that's kind of light for a track like this. I know the NIS, I know some of the guys that we roll kind of with have been running the NIS as of late, and they get like 13 sets. Of course, that is a 500-mile race, but still, you would think it would be half. So that means these guys are going to have those tires being a precious resource, wouldn't you say?
Well, you said, I mean, how many laps did you say that race was?
500.
Okay, so in the voice of that lady from the internet, ain't nobody got time for that. 500 laps. I mean, that's a relationship, Brian. I mean, that's just a long time. So, yeah, I could understand the 13 sets of tires, man. And that's what the pros are going through, and that is what the NS is like this week. But tonight, thank goodness that we only got to do the 250. So this is going to be half of that, and drivers are going to have to conserve. But I'm going to tell you, even though it is only 250 laps, it is still going to be a heavyweight title bout. That's what you got to understand when you're coming into Bristol. Guys are going to have to try to save their equipment best as possible. And you know what? Another thing is you got to watch out for those self spins, because that's the one thing that's going to put you in the wall and out of the contest.
100%. Definitely going to be a big thing that could happen. I mean, I've done some races this week, like I mentioned before, and I've gotten into the wall, gotten into other cars, and still been able to keep on a truck and not really lose a whole lot of pace. But one thing about it, if you hit where you break that toe link, that is very easy to do too, and it's not really any control over whether a contact is going to cause a breakage there. So that's one thing that these guys are really going to have to watch out for and try to play nicely with each other. I mean, two wide racing is a possibility around this place, and usually at Bristol, the Bristol of the past, I say, or the Bristol in the Gen 6, you could kind of run up towards the wall, and that was kind of the best thing to do at this place. Not really the case anymore, Big Al. It seems like running around the bottom is the best thing to save those tires.
Yeah, and that, like I said, that's what these guys were all echoing on. So how actually have you been faring out here this week, Brian? You got any W's yet?
No, definitely not. I've gotten the 11th place and a 15th place. But I mean, hey, could have been worse, I guess. I mean, but it's been a blast. This track is so much fun, and just love it so much. As qualifying still underway here, we've had 9 qualifiers so far. Clayton Hoffman right now at the top of the board with a blazing fast lap time. A Q time I haven't seen before here is a 14.484. That is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. And another thing that's going to happen out here tonight too, that when we were here with the Gen 6 cars, everybody's going around Bristol and they're in fourth gear. Well, here we have the addition of a gear, which this car is a 5-speed sequential shift transmission instead of a 4-speed manual. But a lot of teams are going to be running a third gear setup here tonight. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I myself have been, toying around with the same concept, running a third gear some nights, a fourth gear some other times, just to see the difference. And there doesn't seem to be a huge, vast amount of difference, but I think the third gear, I've heard they say it saves the tires a little bit more. I'm not quite sure. I know that it is a lot more comfortable on the restarts to be starting in first, and you can get some heckin' restarts. That is for sure. As qualifying is going to be wrapping up here, let's go ahead and take that step away and play that national anthem. We'll be right back.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
The nighttime is the right time. Remember what I told all my drivers? Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engines!
Getting into this particular business, it was very important for us to make sure that we were putting out the most authentic product. Sugarlands Distilling Company is a fantastic distillery in downtown Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Our goal is to spread across the country. We would love your help in doing that.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We got the grid set here. Clayton Hoffman going to be taking the pole position. Mark Pageant going to be in second place. Third place is going to be Andrew Griesbaum with Derek Heitman lined up in fourth. Fifth place is going to be Matt DiCiani. Mark Sanchez in sixth place. Seventh place, Chris Johnson with Wayne Grassi in eighth. Ninth place is going to be Kenny Powell with Greg Wojcinski, rounding out our top 10.
Yeah, John Mullins is going to be pulling up in 11th with Jeffrey Souza on his outside. Give it up to the corn man. Josh Schaffner starting in 13th with Don Avery along his outside in 14th. Paul Osen in 15th with Randy Drumhiller rounding out this 16-car field here, Brian.
I am definitely ready to get this thing underway. I mean, this is such an exciting racetrack that produces such a, some fantastic racing. I mean, some of the best. I'd say this is the best track in NASCAR, in my opinion. And I know,
Absolutely.
I don't like how they put the dirt on it. But glad that NASCAR is going to be racing there this Sunday. And my top two tracks of all time are Bristol and Darlington. Of course, Darlington I'm a little bit biased, but I think a lot of people have that one ranked up pretty high too.
Yeah, I just can't wait to get the popcorn and sit back and enjoy this one, man, because I definitely do believe it is going to be a spectacle as we will be rolling off here pretty soon. And ladies and gentlemen, I guarantee you this is going to be quite an event. So these guys are going to be here, playoff positions and points on the line here as we are racing for a championship. And I think it's just going to be some good all around nighttime short track racing.
Speaking of the playoffs here, Clayton Hoffman at the top of the board, of course, with 2 wins. Matt DeCiani, he's in second place. Clayton Hoffman being the only one that has won this season, or this in the playoffs here. Mark Pageant sitting in third. Jeffrey Souza fourth. Al Kozlowski fifth. Sixth place Kenny Powell. Seventh Mark Sanchez. Eighth Wayne Grossi. Ninth Andrew Griesbaum. And 10th Josh Schaffner. Pretty impressive that Clayton has already won so many races to start this playoffs. Definitely creating quite a bubble, a big buffer for himself.
Yeah, but he's still going to have to be present here tonight, and unfortunately, he is going to have to drive for all 250 of these laps if he wants to maybe get that third W. Because look, this is a short track, and everything's going to go kind of topsy-wopsy, if you will. I mean, I don't know what we're going to get here, but I guarantee you it's probably going to be a little different.
One thing about this track, too, that it presents quite a bit of challenge. Even I've noticed it in the, Cup Series, or the Open, I should say. You have to use both pit lanes. That is kind of a confusing thing because both of this, sides of this track, Big Al, look quite similar. Pace car lights are out, though. We're getting ready to get this thing back underway, or get it underway, I should say, for the first time. Clayton Hoffman going to have control of the field on the bottom. Pageant going to have a unique, you can get some big runs up there on the top, Big Al. But one thing I said about it, it could burn your tires up. So if you're really desperate to get around someone, that could be an option.
Yeah, that high line is going to be the preferred line here tonight, so we're just going to have to see how that works out. Now, the key is going to be harder to pass on that low line. The guys on that high line, they do risk they sport the risk of running into that wall.
Yeah, there's definitely a risk of running into the wall up on the top line. And it has predominantly, the dominant line has been on the top in later iterations of the NASCAR car. But I think that the way this is looking here, I think the bottom's going to be where we're going to be, that most of the cars are going to be here. As the pace car dips down pit road, Clayton going to be up through the gears. Green flag out for the first time. Mark Pageant with a really good start. Derek Heitman going to get an even better start as he is able to even slide right in front of Andrew Griesbaum.
Ooh, got a little blinker there. It looks like the 7 of Wayne Grossi there, who's sporting a different paint scheme. Got a little bit of a blink going on with him tonight.
An interesting green. Looks like Gator Racing. Definitely surprised to see him kind of stray away from the Pennzoil 7. A lot of racing still going on throughout the field as these guys try to get it all settled out, fight for position, but then you don't want to be double file for too long.
Yeah, because the longer that you spin side by side, you're just going to cause your tires to kind of wear out a little bit. This is where you kind of got to find your groove, and you really want to stay in that groove. Some guys are going to be running in the middle. This is the key. Some guys are going to run low. Some guys are going to run high. Some guys are going to run middle. You're going to want to have enough gap there and enough comfortability to be able to run whatever groove that you want to run there, because that's going to equal success for all of these drivers in the long run.
Looking at lap times here at the start of the race, 14.9 for Mark Pageant, who has claimed the lead from Clayton Hoffman. I do believe Clayton has the idea that he's going to run a 15 flat essentially for a little bit here to try to keep the tires underneath them. Might even let some guys go. I noticed that was something that was a really big possibility. You just let guys go save that tire, and you'll catch back up to them in a later period. Of course, Derek Heitman kind of grabbing a touch of that wall through the last couple set of corners.
And I think that is definitely going to be the strategy that's going to work out. Now, if you get out there and you get out front like the two of Mark Paget, nothing wrong with being the leader here, but it's a lot harder to pace yourself and save your tires when you're the guy out there kind of setting the pace, if you will. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Clayton's going to sit back. He's going to relax. He's going to let somebody else set the pace, and he's just going to conserve.
Especially with how long this race is. I mean, 138 laps is your fuel run. That just shows you the potential that this has if we go green for a long period of time. But as the run goes on, these guys are going to start having handling issues, whether that be a loose or a tight condition. It's going to really depend on how that car is set up. Andrew Griesbaum doing a fantastic job. He sits right now in fourth place. He's running down the 76 of Derek Heitman. But the thing is, Andrew Griesbaum's running to the top here. Is he burning his tires up? I think so. Definitely some fast lap times coming from these guys, and Matt DeCiani looking like he's wanting to pounce on a chance here. Someone
here comes
wants
the
to
14. Here comes the 14 of Jeffrey Souza. He's going to be on the inside of the 24 Kenny Powell. Now, he also has Greg Wachinski, who's going to be right there behind him, as these guys have been battling here for some time in the 14 now. Starting to kind of get that runoff that he wants. Now he's going to be closing the door. They're trying to reel in the 48.
Souza's definitely always one that seems like he's very good at saving the tires. Of course, this first and second stage going to provide these guys with some really, really important tire data to kind of figure out how the track is wearing. You know, what are the conditions? You can see it's still a little bit daylight out there. Let's take a look at the track condition.
Yeah, looks like that ambient track temperature is going to be 80 degrees with a track temp itself of 83 degrees. Wind is going to be out of the southwest at 4 miles an hour. Drivers won't be able to really feel that because this track has the banking, like you said, that's really going to protect them and buffet them from that wind, Brian.
Definitely, and yeah, I mean, this is a huge Coliseum. I mean, the last great Coliseum is this moniker. So, I mean, it does protect him from the winds quite a bit, but, you know, the temperature, I don't know if it protects it as much from that. Of course, I do believe we are going to be racing into the night. See Mark Paget out to substantially 1.1 seconds right now, and it looks like it's falling, though, as Clayton Hoffman trying to drive forward. Still has a train behind him, though, as Derek Heitman has the one of Matt DeCiani right behind him. DeCiani looks like he has gotten by Andrew Griesbaum.
Yeah, Griesbaum not out of it just yet, as Powell now is going to be rolling around to 31 of Mark Sanchez. Sanchez seems to be dropping back a little bit, seems to be falling off the pace there, as now he's going to be definitely in jeopardy of losing that top 10 position, as Greg Wachinski now gets stacked up, and he is going to make a little contact. Furthermore, that's going to spread Don Avery and John Mullins out there just a little bit here, as the 31 seems to be creating its own traffic pattern.
Yeah, that's one thing about it. You know, this track, people get stacked up so much, and you know, one thing about it, you'll end up going a lap down a whole lot quicker than you expect you will. Randy Drumhiller is probably going to be able to attest here. He's already 8 seconds back behind the leader. We mentioned it before how quick the lap times around this place are. Right now, these guys are hitting just over 15-second laps. That means, you know, Randy Drumhiller has about a half a lap or half a racetrack until he goes a lap down.
Yeah, definitely he's going to want to try to maintain his lead lap position as we're just halfway through this first stage right here. Now, with the way he is falling back, I definitely do believe either he's going to make pace or they're going to catch up to him. So one of the two things is going to happen, but the two is still running pretty strong, consistent laps. Just don't know exactly how long these tires are going to hold out for him, Brian.
You see some guys are already starting to fall off here. You know, 15.4 second laps from both Clayton Hoffman and Derek Heitman. As Andrew Griesbaum starting to have a little bit of a resurgence here, caught back up to the back here of Matt DeCiani.
Yeah,
Wayne
DeCiani,
Grossi doing pretty good.
Yeah, I was talking to DeCiani just a little bit before the race, and he was saying, another driver indicating that he was having a lot of problems conserving, but he was saying that his key to getting through this thing is going to be saving tires.
That's what it's all going to be about. So, I mean, and, when it comes to making adjustments and things like that, tire pressure changes could help. And it's really going to come down to how you're driving it, too. Your aggressive, nature. You could really drive around this track and be really smooth, and it's going to reward you later in the race. But these guys, really have to have that in mind. It's very easy to race the guys around you and not race this racetrack. And that is one of the keys about Bristol. So easy to lose track of where you're at on the track and miss your mark because you're judging the other guy in front of you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. There's essentially 3 grooves on this racetrack, and drivers are going to be driving all 3 of those. And the key, you just want to be able to get the comfort level around the drivers that are around you so you actually be able to do that. Wayne Grossi having a pretty good run here tonight as he finds himself in 7th place into number 7, and he is slowly going to be catching up to Andrew Griesbaum, but he is dragging the 48 of Chris Johnson, who has in tow behind him his G&G teammate of Kenny Powell. So right now it's just going to be interesting to watch and see if Rossi's going to be able to hold these guys off.
We mentioned Randy Drumhiller going to be going a lap down, well, probably more sooner than later now, as he finds himself 14 seconds behind the leader and following fast. He's getting ready to go a lap down. It's very difficult to get laps back at a track like Bristol. Before you know it, you're multiple laps down, and it's hard to dig yourself out of that hole, especially when it comes to getting down pit road. Having to use both of these pit lanes really does slow you down quite a bit. Hopefully he, I do believe, will be the lucky dog. But it looks like John Mullins also getting ready to go a lap down here.
And that is definitely going to cause the field to kind of check up there, as both Randy Drumhiller and John Mullins now finding themselves in the thick of this lead lap traffic. Here comes Clayton Hoffman. He's going to be looking to the inside of the 44, gets by with no problems, but he's also got to get by the 64 Mullins. So like you said, this is a hard track to get those laps back, but now you got 2 guys essentially still fighting for that one lucky dog spot.
They are still going to be fighting just as hard as ever. So, not even the leaders are safe. This is a place where you have to get used to, dealing with lap traffic. It's going to be something you're going to encounter no matter what. And even this early, 38 laps into this run, already seeing it. See Greg Wachinski right now side by side with Wayne Grossi.
Ooh, Kenny Powell just gave the 78 of Andrew Griesbaum just a little bit of I don't think I'd call it a love tap, but it was definitely a, hey man, get out of my way tap.
Yeah, Kenny Powell definitely has a fast race car. He talked a whole lot about the confidence level. He's got a lot of good finishes here. He slides right up in front of the 78, going to take over 7th. So he sets his sights on Chris Johnson, now Wayne Grossi underneath the 78. So the 78, he's been running the top line almost the whole race, and you can tell that's not really...
Oh! Contact with the 7. Sorry about that, Brian.
Somehow, still no caution here.
Yeah, Wayne Grossi made serious contact with the 48, and then next thing you know, he made contact with the 78. But like you said, green flag racing continues.
Oh, the 48 was involved in that? The 48's way ahead of these guys. How?
Yeah, sorry.
So there was another contact? It wasn't just the 78?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Wonder who that was, if we could see the damage. Maybe Don Avery, as we see Andrew Griesbaum still having problems here. It seems like magnets with Wayne Grossi here. Hopefully these guys don't get involved again, but it looks like Griesbaum is struggling tight on the top here. Now Mark Patton and Mark Sanchez is going to come into the picture. Looking back towards the front of the field, we got Clayton Hoffman, who has taken the lead back from Mark Pageant. Definitely is running substantially faster, as he has definitely tried to, I do believe, save his tires. And it seems like that is the the key to it, as we're going to have now, I do believe, soon to be 5 laps in this run left until the stage 1 caution comes out.
Yeah, Kenny Powell just passing the 64. John Mullins kind of got into the 64 just a little bit there. I guess that's another one of those I think I love you taps. But now the 48 is going to be coming down. And, oop, just like that, he finds himself way off the pace, and that puts the 5 and the 50 stacked up behind him.
Well, I mean, if the tires are so important at a track, look at the 50. We talked about him at Richmond just a few weeks ago, or about a month ago, how good he was on the long run. Well, if he's been doing a lot of saving here, he's going to show up. He's about to show up here on the back bumper of the 48. Greg Wachinski and Don Avery also right there. So this is going to be a little bit of a stack up. Going to be a tricky situation. Oh, look, contact there with the 64 of John Mullins.
They've been trying to get around Mullins for quite a while here, but he is definitely not making it easy. And then the 48 gets into it. That might bring out a caution.
I don't believe it will. They're down on the apron.
Well, definitely is going to bring out some boxing gloves.
Oh, and then Chris Johnson comes up right in front of Clayton Hoffman. That allows Mark Paget to take the lead. Clayton can't be too happy about that one.
Yeah, the 48 is still in hot. He's still actually in armed conflict with the 64. Like I said, John Mullins not making it easy for these guys to get around, and now that's going to put Chris Johnson as a lap down car as well.
Johnson actually taking it down pit road, and I do believe the caution for the stage should be coming out any moment.
The yellow flag is out.
I don't think Johnson's going to come back out here tonight.
I don't know. I mean, hopefully he does. I wouldn't give up, because you never know what can happen at a track like Bristol. We still got a little under 200 laps left, but Mark Paget going to be your stage 1 winner. Clayton Hoffman going to finish in 2nd place. Matt DeCiani in 3rd. Derek Heitman 4th. Jeffrey Souza worked his way up to 5th. Kenny Powell in 6th. 7th, Josh Schaffner. 8th, Don Avery. 9th, Greg Wachinski and Andrew Griesbaum in 10th. It looks like Wayne Grossi. I do believe someone who's going to get the lucky dog. I do believe probably Randy Drumhiller here, hopefully.
Yeah, John Mullins has respectfully declined to continue here this evening. That was a little interesting, man. He was making it very difficult for cars to pass, and that's gonna definitely not get him favorable attention, especially with some of these guys that are in the playoffs. But you're right, Randy Drumhiller does receive that lucky dog, so that's going to put him high and dry around the outside to get his lap back.
Definitely going to be a good day for him to get that lap back and hopefully get some much-needed adjustments here as these guys are all filing down pit road. Man, can't believe that, Chris Johnson, I know that he was probably a little flustered, to be honest with you, because of the problems trying to pass John Mullins there, and then, had that big issue and, cost Clayton Hoffman that stage win, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's take a brief step away. We'll be right back, and we'll talk to someone here when we decide it.
Getting into this particular business, it was very important for us to make sure that we were putting out the most authentic product. Sugarlands Distilling Company is a fantastic distillery in downtown Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Our goal is to spread across the country. We would love your help in doing that.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe we're going to have Mark Paget up in the booth, our stage 1 winner. Man, you had some really good short-run pace. You drove away from these guys, got up to over a second, and then Clayton Hoffman caught you again. But then some lap traffic kind of came into play there and gave you the lead back to get you a stage win, man. How you feeling? How's the car been handling?
I'm pleasantly surprised, to be honest. I didn't think we'd be this good. I really feel for Clayton, though. He should have won that stage. Hope his car's okay. I noticed he made a little contact, but if it's good to go, it should be fun with me and Clayton all night.
Well, I will tell you, just to ease your mind a little bit here with these next-gen cars, as long as you don't break the toe length, a lot of times it seems like the car pretty durable. He should be fine. I've done a couple lay opens here and have had a unrecognizable next gen car and still was pretty quick. So hopefully he'll be okay. I'm sure he's not going to let you off the hook very much here. Man, well, great job so far. I know you guys are getting ready to get back green here. Who can we give a mini shout out to before we let you get back to it?
Yeah, just our team. Great setup this week. So thanks, guys. Thanks to our sponsors.
All righty, Mark. We'll talk to you later, hopefully at the end of this thing.
All right, 10-4, guys. Thanks.
That was Mark Pageant, our Stage 1 winner. We got another stage to go here as the pace car dips down pit road for the second time tonight. Green flag out in the air. Mark Pageant with a heck of a restart there.
Yeah, definitely going to be trying to get everything he can as a jump on Clayton Hoffman coming out of the gate. That bottom line definitely not getting a run at all as Matthew DeCiani now finds himself slowly slipping back there as he's got Kenny Powell going to be coming around him, and that's actually going to put him all the way back to 5th place, Brian.
And you see Kenny Powell battling up on the top side, trying to get side by side with the 14 of Jeffrey Souza, but it looks like not going to be able to do so as DeCiani now going to be trying to have a resurgence here. Clayton doing exactly what he did in that last run, kind of backing it down, letting Mark Pageant set the pace here. Oh, Kenny Powell into the back of the 14. Kenny Powell, he has got the gloves off, and it is early.
Yeah, he has been, he has got such tremendous pace that he has definitely made contact with quite a few drivers on the racetrack here tonight.
Look at Jeffrey Souza.
Run. Speaking of a run, the 5 of Greg Wachinski puts the 50 of Josh Schaffner into the outside wall.
Oh, wow.
Schaffner bounces off the wall twice, and now he's going to be off the pace just a little bit. And he's got to be scratching his head because I think those two guys are teammates.
I mean, not by looking at it, you wouldn't think so. He's going slow on the bottom on the apron here, so
that was
something's wrong with that car.
Yeah, Hoffman, he had substantial contact. Definitely that car probably having a meatball flag here. Let me check and see.
Well, that's actually Josh Schaffner there. Luckily,
yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, Schaffner.
Look at that tire. Yeah, look at the right front, Big Al. It is done.
Yeah, Josh Schaffner, definitely the recipient of a meatball flag, and he definitely can't be too happy about that because that's going to put him at least 8 minutes behind the wall. And, you know, with him being in the playoffs, Brian, just unfortunate for him tonight. Yeah, sorry about saying Clayton Hoffman. I just get excited sometimes.
I guarantee you Josh Schaffner are not going to be excited about that one, especially, like you said, teammates. You know, that is just not good. And I'm sure Greg Wachinski is probably feeling pretty bad about that. I bet Josh Schaffner feels worse.
I mean, absolutely, because Schaffner now, you know, he had to go slow down with a car that was beat up and go down pit road. So he is already some 4 laps back, and it's definitely going to be behind the wall for a while. So he's not going to make that time up. That's definitely going to cost him a lot more than just a couple of points here this evening, Brian.
Well, I mean, I still will get back out there because that's one thing about Bristol. Like, you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, guys could end up taking it back behind the wall, parking it, you know, putting it on the truck and go ahead and leaving, you know.
But he needed those stage points. I mean, you need stage points more than ever here, and he's not going to get any. So you're right. His best chance at redeeming himself is just going to be get out there, try to get to running here and see how many laps he can actually turn. But Clayton Hoffman now got the lead. He's already bypassed the 2 of Mark Pageant, so now Hoffman's going to be in the lead, and I think he's probably just going to run his race now. So I don't see him relinquishing that lead here, but they still are going to have to deal with lap traffic, and lap traffic really turned out to be a factor here in that last stage, Brian. Yeah,
well, I think Randy Drumhill, looking at his time behind the leader here, he's about 7 seconds, or verging on 6 seconds, I should say. So he's doing a lot better than I think he did in that first run. He might manage to not go a lap down this time. I'd be impressed if he didn't. As we see Jeffrey Souza trying to run down the 1 of Matt DeCiani here.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of heartburn here this evening after this race is over because, I mean, there were playoff implications on the line, and there were just people that just didn't make that happen. So, yeah, I definitely think this is going to be pretty sporty. It's the 14 now trying to get underneath the 1 of Matt DeCiani, and this is the battle for 3rd place right now.
And you mentioned it before. I mean, probably one of the best passing zones up on the top lane, but you try to pass on the bottom, it's going to be quite difficult to, because it's very easy to slide up off of that bottom, especially when you're trying to get that momentum to pass. You really almost have to sit behind someone until they make a mistake or try to bait them into running a different line. You see Souza. I mean, that's why it's so easy to, get into the back bumper of somebody here. Because, I mean, you got guys of so many varying speeds.
And different breaking points as well, Brian. So that's exactly what Souza is feeling as he is trying to get around the one. They've got two different breaking points. The one is driving it hard, and he's maintaining that middle line. It's just hard to get that car cranked around if you're on the inside like that. It's the cars are faster on the outside line, but it's just hard to get up there and get that run.
Yeah, and a lot of times you'll see guys the guys that are really burning their tires up the most are the ones that are trying to do a diamond. And, theoretically, that is the way you probably want to run this track to get the most speed out of it. Try to run high into the corner and then kind of arc it down to get a huge run on exit. It works really well, but it does also cause those tires to screech quite a bit.
Yeah, Souza definitely got to be feeling pretty good about himself right now, as he was just able to get around the one of Matt DeCiani. Guys have been battling all night here tonight, and I think we pretty much mentioned everybody that's in the race here, maybe with the exception of the 31 of Mark Sanchez. But also look at how far the 76 of Derek Heitman has fallen back. Now, he was actually up front running in the top 3 or top 5 definitely earlier on. Now he finds himself all the way back in 9th place.
Yeah, he's definitely been somewhat struggling here and surprised. I mean, I thought this would be a really good track for him. I mean, he's been showing a ton of strength, in the season. Every race he shows up to, I think he is definitely a threat to win. But it does not look like he's got that speed here tonight.
Yeah, he's still putting out some pretty fast lap times, but he's just finding himself further back in the pack. And like we said, this is just one of those tracks that's just increasingly difficult to pass at. Now here comes the DeCiani, the one of Matt DeCiani back on the inside. He's going to be trying to get back around Jeffrey Souza. He's still going to be battling side by side.
That's the one thing about it. I mean, Souza, after he got by the one or trying to struggle so hard to get by the one, could have, maybe overheated the tires a little bit, and now he's choosing to run the top side. But we've seen what that does to the tires. It burns them up if you stay up there for too long. So I think this is just a ticking time bomb here for Souza.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to get a little bit of heat out of those tires there, because I think you're absolutely right with those two battling side by side like that. Really having to crank on that wheel definitely did cause those tires to heat up. Now, while those two have been battling, all they have done is simply allowed that 24 car of Kenny Powell to come back up through the field. Now, Powell having pretty good success here this week here at Bristol, so I would not be surprised if you don't see him up here in the top 3, at least on the podium by the end of this stage, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I totally agree. Fall off has definitely been considerable right now. A lot of these guys started out hitting high 14-second laps. Now they're hitting about 14.5. So almost a little bit over half a second of fall off already for a lot of the drivers out here. Even more fall off though for DeCiani and Souza here. They've been hitting 15.7. So no wonder Kenny Powell has caught up to these guys. I know Kenny Powell was loving the way that car was running. He was one of the third gear setup guys, Big Al, and he said that his long run was really, really good. He was running, he would only fall off to about probably right around a 16, or probably a little bit lower than a 16. So he's got really good fall off. As now he's going to be challenging Jeffrey Souza on the inside.
Yeah. But with 10 laps to go in this stage, though, I don't think we're out of that caution window yet. Looks like Powell is going to get around the 14, but is it going to be too little too late? Because now he has got to reel in the one, and he's still got to make that pass as well, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Kenny Powell definitely going to be happy to finish or to be up here in 4th right now to get these necessary stage points. And, we talked about guys we haven't really talked a whole lot about. We haven't talked about Don Avery very much here tonight at 11. He's been running pretty well right now. He's sitting right now in 6th place and is trying to get around the 14 on the top side.
Yeah, and the 44 of Randy Drumhiller, though, is actually falling, he's falling casually. He is now becoming a lap down again. But this time, most drivers are actually able to get by him, as we see the 24 Kenny Powell now going to be on the inside, and he is going to be pulling Don Avery behind him. Now, Kenny is definitely going to be trying to close the gap on the one of Matt DeCiani, because DeCiani was actually able to get a drive off there a little bit. I don't know if that's actually what Powell had intended or not.
You see Randy Drumhill right there on your screen getting passed by Jeffrey Souza. Can Kenny Powell catch up here to Matt DeCiani? I don't think he's going to have enough time, as we're soon to have 5 laps to go here in the stage. Wayne Grossi getting ready to go a lap down.
Yeah, Grossi cannot appreciate that, as he has been doing pretty good here. Hopefully he would be able to hold off the leader, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
Speaking of which, the leader, Clayton Hoffman, now out to about a second lead on Mark Pageant. So he's definitely got some really good long-run pace, but who's surprised? I mean, Clayton always, seems to have the best car and knows what to do with it, too. And I think that's the main thing. Like, he could have a really good setup, but if you have to know what to do with it. He's been really expertly saving the tire. I mean, he hasn't been – his fastest laps are not that quick. I mean, he doesn't try to run as quick as he can in the beginning of the stage, and I think that's what it sets him apart from all the other guys. And one of the guys that I kind of think had that similar mindset was Josh Schaffner. Unfortunately, he is going to be, not be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, just like that, now we only have 10 cars left on the lead lap, as the white flag should be out for the stage at this time for the leaders.
Here comes Derek Heitman. He gets around Jeffrey Souza. Souza almost verging on out of control right now.
Yeah, definitely doing whatever he has to do to try to maintain those positions. But, Brian, that's not always going to be the easiest thing in the world, as I do believe this stage is going to be in the books. Waiting on the 5 of Greg Wachinski to cross the line.
Clayton Hoffman is going to be your stage 2 winner. As a caution, there it is. Now it is out. Yep. Clayton Hoffman was able to get another lap in before that caution came. That just shows you how short Bristol is.
Yep, Clayton Hoffman's going to be your stage 2 winner. Mark Paget's going to come in second. Matt DeCiani third. Kenny Powell fourth. Don Avery fifth. Derek Heitman comes in 6th with Jeffrey Souza. 7th, Andrew Griesbaum in 8th. Mark Sanchez in 9th, and Greg Wachinski rounding out those top 10 point span positions. So with that, stage 2 in the books, let's take a brief step away, get another word from our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be right back.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Big Al, have we decided who we're going to talk to after these pit stops?
Yeah, I think we're going to try to get Josh Schaffner up here in the booth.
All righty, sounds like a plan. Well, he's still on pit road servicing that race car, isn't he? So we should be able to just go ahead and talk to him now, right?
Yeah, Josh Schaffner is Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear, guys.
Hey, man, so a lot of things going on down there tonight. A lot of things transpired. We kind of had a bird's eye view, but would love to hear from your perspective what actually took place there.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of early in the run there, I think Avery had a bit of a run on me and kind of spooky. He kind of caught me off guard there a little bit into the previous turn there, and then I was just going to kind of fade high and to one and kind of let him have that, because I was just kind of just trying to manage tires those 15, maybe those first 15, 20 laps, and I felt like I had a really good long run piece there, and I think whether maybe Greg didn't misjudge the way I entered the corner. We entered high there, or I'd been in a low line, but just got a bump from behind there from Greg, and yeah, unfortunately, didn't hit the wall that hard, but looks like we broke the front toe link, and yeah, kind of end of an arc there, and I'm not sure if we'll get back out there or not with as many laps as we are down.
Man, that's just unfortunate because I know you guys definitely you had a rocket coming in here. Did you feel like you at least had a chance though to be definitely in the top 3 here at the end of the evening?
Yeah, it was hard to say. I only the first laps I ran tonight were just in practice. So I ran, I don't remember what it was, maybe 50, 60 laps of practice. That's the only laps I'd ran all week, which is less than ideal for me. And no, I mean I was just kind of feeling like car out there the first run, and felt like I had really good pace at the end of that first 50 laps, and kind of worked our way up. I think came out of the pits in fifth there, which I started in the back, which I was pretty happy with. But yeah, just unfortunately, yeah, I think tire conservation is going to be big, and those usually races I tend to do good in. But yeah, I think I would have competed for maybe a top 5 or top 4, but unfortunately, just won't be there at the end to find out.
Man, well, hey, thank you again for your time, and sorry about your misfortune. And we'll try to dial you back up here a little bit, but we're back to green flag racing.
Thanks, guys.
Green flag, like you said, back out in the air. Clayton Hoffman with a heck of a restart. Kenny Powell, big moving right now as he takes over third. Might just need to have Josh Opner be a guest commentator here tonight.
Wow, you don't think I'm doing a good job?
No. Oh, Lord, here we go. Look at the line of cars we got right here, Big Al.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's trying to trying to air it out here as we're getting ready to go into this third stage, because this is where guys are going to want to get that track position, Brian. And right now, it's all about trying to get around the guy that's in front of you, because I don't think there's going to be any replacement for clean air here this evening.
One thing about it, too, we talked about the fuel window here at this track, 138 laps with that 75% fuel tank. That means it's going to be really, really close, but I don't think we're going to get to that point. I think we're going to see maybe a caution at some point. One thing about a Bristol race, by the end of this thing, these guys are going to be wore out, Big Al. I mean, this is a track that really takes it out of you. Having to turn every, 15 seconds, having to go through, one side of this racetrack, twice, essentially. I mean, and wheeling this thing. My arms feel like Jello after doing 2 races yesterday.
Yeah, and both ends of this track are completely different. As the one of Matt DeCiani now running around the high side of the 11 of and Don Avery. Don Avery doing everything that he can, but now look at the one. He is now back up to the 14, and I think he's getting a little bit squirrely there.
And the one able to make short work of the 24, Kenny Powell, is now Don Avery comes up to the back bumper. 24 looks like, I think he's saving. Knowing Kenny, he is not trying to really overdo it. I know I talked to him before, and he said that my goal in the beginning of a run is to run 15 flats. I'll do that as long as I can, and then that seems to save the tires, because a lot of these guys that are trying to run, high 14s, they're burning their stuff up a little bit more here. So I think Kenny maybe taking a saving into mind.
Well, and we talk about this every week. You got to run your own race. You can't, just because everybody's out there trying to go faster and faster, that's not going to do you any good if that's not your strategy. If your strategy is too conserved, then this is conservation time. The drivers will know when it's go time. But another thing too is you got to be careful. You don't want to get caught up in someone else's self-spin. That's another big problem we have with this track.
For sure, Matt DeCiani, now your leader for the first time here tonight. He is one that is putting caution to the wind and driving that thing as hard as he possibly can right now. He's second on Clayton Hoffman. Of course, Clayton seems like he's also got saving in mind. He's had that on the brain, I think, all night long. Here comes Mark Paget. Wonder if Clayton's just going to let him go.
Yeah, DeCiani's running low 14, high 14s, and everybody else is running 15. So I think that might tell you a little bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, looking at, Matt DeCiani's best lap, I do believe he turned it just recently, 14.7, which no one else has gotten into the 7s here tonight, I do believe, just because, I mean, this is not really a competition on who can get the fastest lap. This is, all about conservation and being smart with that race car, knowing what you have, what the limits of it are, what marks you need to hit, keeping track of those lap times, and also having, I guess, a spotter in your ear probably keeping you apprised of those lap times and seeing what everybody's doing.
Yep, here comes the 5. He is going to be going around the 78 of Andrew Griesbaum. That is going to be for 8th place now. Greg Wojcicki now going to be dialed up right behind the 14 of Jeffrey Souza. Sorry, I misspoke and said that that the 11 was going around the 14, but he was actually going around the 24. I misspoke on that earlier, so sorry about that. But Jeffrey Souza now is back in 7th place, and the next car that he will encounter on the racetrack is going to be the 76 of Derek Heighton.
Yeah, hopefully Jeffrey Souza made some adjustments to that race car because he was struggling on the longer runs. As like you mentioned, Greg Wojcicki starting to catch up here to him. Clayton Hobbin still managing to hold off Mark Pageant here.
Yeah, the
Don
78
Avery coming up though.
The 78 of Andrew Griesbaum got really squirrely there. It must have been that dirty air coming off of the diffuser of the 5, but he was actually able to pedal through it as he now has the 7 of Wayne Grassi. It's going to be right back there, and these guys are battling here pretty intently though, Brian, but this is still in the top 10.
Yeah, Griesbaum's definitely turning some pretty good laps right now in that Purina 78, and we'll have to see how that progresses as the race goes on. And you mentioned aero, you know, the air on these cars. You'd think at a short track, a half a mile like this, you wouldn't have to be concerned with that. But with these next-gen cars, you definitely still do. And the lap time, or the speed these guys are hitting around this place, I mean, in the straightaways, you get up to 130-plus mile an hour.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like a mini super speedway. But both ends are different, so it's that in that aspect, it's like Darlington.
And now you got Matt DeCiani now out to over 3.4 seconds of a lead right now. I think he's trying to build as big of a lead as he can right now and hope that cushion is enough.
Yeah, and Clayton is just trying to keep Mark Paget at bay.
Well, I think he's really just he's running his own race. I mean, you know, Clayton Hoffman, he beats he beats by a different drum, if you will. You know what I mean? Like he is not going to do what everybody else is doing. He's going to do what he knows will work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that is the recipe that has worked for him so many times, as he is one of the most winningest drivers, especially in this series, right?
Very much so. I mean, he has won. Well, I mean, speaking of the playoffs, I mean, we've only had 2 playoff races. Of course, this is our 3rd. He has won both of them, and might be on track to win this one too, as he is starting to run down DeCiani. DeCiani hitting 15.4 last time by. Clayton Hoffman 15.2. So a little bit of a difference in speed there, and you know that adds up quickly. You know, we were just looking at DeCiani out to 3.4 seconds of a lead. Well, now you know it's down to 3. You know, or a little bit even under 3, 2.5 now. It's of course going up and down. That is kind of the nature of this track.
Yeah, but I think he is definitely, you know, he has done the one thing that he really didn't need to do. He has kind of blistered his tires, and I think he is going to be in for a long run now, at least for the next, 100 laps, if that's what if he does, he'd like to run the fuel out of this thing.
It's definitely a struggle to do that for sure. I mean, especially when you've abused those tires, you want to try to, keep them underneath you, because if you have to go a long run, I mean, everybody is going to end up struggling, but it just depends on how hard are you going to be struggling, I think is going to be the main question these guys are going to be asking themselves later in the run. They're like, man, I could do with a nice set of shoes, but the way this race is looking, I don't think we're going to have a caution based on an accident. We haven't seen one yet, have we?
I don't know. No, we have not, but I don't think it's out of the question, man, as these tires are starting to get into their season stage there with 38 laps on them. These guys ran this stage probably a little bit harder than they maybe did the first 2 stages for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but I think we still got a possibility of a caution.
Looking at here, Kenny Powell having a little bit of a resurgence here, taking away the 4th position away from Don Avery. Now he's running down Mark Pageant and Clayton Hoffman. Of course, Kenny Powell was saving pretty good also. I think he now has flipped the switch and says it's time to go.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we're still 110 laps left of this thing, so that's still a lot of racing. Now, I will say, if the caution were to come out now, drivers would actually have enough fuel to finish this thing.
Yeah, they would for sure, and I'm sure everybody would be coming down as we see Souza struggling once again. He got a little loose there. He's still a little loose here as Greg Wachinski catches up. You see that car wiggling back and forth there, searching for grip.
Speaking of searching for grip, the one of Matt DeCiani is going to be searching for grip, prayers, GoFundMes. He's going to need about all the help he can get here because Clayton Hoffman is slowly reeling him in. And there's no doubt that once the 92 does happen upon his diffuser, it'll just be a matter of time before he finds himself slipping further and further back into the pack, Brian.
Yeah, I'm looking at Mark Pageant. He has not slowed down one bit either. I think that because he's been running behind Clayton and he hasn't really been putting the screws to Clayton too much here, I think he's been kind of forcing himself to save tire, and it's showing that he's able to keep right up here with Clayton. So maybe this could even be a little bit of a learning experience for Mark Pageant that, hey, I have a chance here. I can win this race if I just try to match what Clayton's doing and still have a little bit of equipment left towards the end of this thing. I can make something happen.
Yeah, because where we're at now, that last lap looks like the last previous lap, the slowest lap time would have been that of the one of Matt DeCiani.
Oh, yeah, 15.9. Very, very slow.
Now, Mark Sanchez is the only alternate driver who is actually displaying a slower lap time than that right now. But he is definitely 0.2 of a second slower than Clayton Hoffman and Mark Pageant on each lap right now. So it's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when the one actually gets captured by these guys.
And one thing about it, I don't think the one's just going to let them go. So this is going to be a fight, especially when you got Mark Pageant right there behind Clayton Hoffman. I mean, all it takes is for Clayton to choose the wrong lane and Mark Pageant to try to get underneath him or something like that. You know, the one could cause an opportunity for the 0-2 to take that position. You also see some other guys, Kenny Powell coming into the picture, of course, back there too. That one could slow this top two up and kind of make this a 4-car battle for the lead, or a 5-car, I should say.
Yeah, but I don't think that Mark and Clayton are going to race these other very clean. I don't see these two guys actually getting out there and just being totally, like, rambunctious. So I think they're going to get around the one, and then they will be respectful of each other. And just at that point, I think it's going to come down to pit strategy.
Well, here comes Mark Pageant right now. He's starting to run the top line. Very interesting decision. I think he sees go. He sees that green, but look at that. Randy Drumhiller getting ready to go a lap down. This is going to complicate things even further.
Yes, Clayton Hoffman doing everything he can to get around the one of Matt DeCiani. And like you said, DeCiani is not just laying over. He is still trying to defend his position. But just like that, he loses first place. And here comes the two of Mark Pageant. He is going to be trying to take up his place. Now, like you said, with the 44 of Randy Drumhiller, this could get pretty interesting here, Brian.
Definitely could get very dicey here. It looks like Drumhiller are going to try to run the wall to try to stay out of these guys' way. It's going to be very difficult to do. There's not a, I mean, it's kind of, I'd say, a little bit, it looks like there's a whole lot of room out there in this racetrack, but there's not really, I mean.
Yeah, even trying to stay out of the way, he's kind of in the way.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The only way you are going to get out of the way, really, is go down to the apron. And still, that's even more dangerous because, I mean, you go down to their apron, you shoot up back onto the track, and you kill everybody.
Yeah, because these guys are definitely on their longest run here of the evening so far on these tires. So Matt DeCiani now all the way back to third place, you know, so he was definitely starting to fall off the pace a little bit. He's got the 24 Kenny Powell. Powell's going to be definitely trying to get around the one as well. Now, I do believe as the one slips further back into the pack, he's not going to be as easy to pass, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. Here is now we're 52 laps into this run. Jeffrey Souza, I do believe, might have just had a problem, maybe a blink or something like that. He is not shown on the racetrack right now, and it looks like, yeah, he's going to go a lap down here. Maybe, did he just have a throughput error or something like that? No, I think Souza just took a green flag pit stop there. So that could actually signify we could see green flag pit stops imminent.
Well, I mean, if Souza if Souza has two choices now, either he is going to short pit. Oh, Don Avery very loose. That's going to cause him to fall way back off the pace here.
Under fire from here, Derek Heitman, the 76. He's been running a very, very quiet race here so far tonight. But Kenny Powell's still struggling to get around this one.
Yeah, like I said, the further Matt DeCiani slips back into the pack, the harder he is going to be to pass. And, Kenny Powell is I don't know. I think it just might be a matter of time before those two might just, kiss and not make up.
Yeah, for sure. Powell has came in here, ready for business. He has meant business ever since the green flag dropped. I mean, been a little bit of a roughhouser. I mean, I wouldn't say he's been wrecking anybody, but he's definitely made his presence known and been willing to bump guys out of the way if need be.
Yeah, and it's, like you said earlier, man, it's just really hard to pass here, and it does take a while, and sometimes tempers, and patience wear and tempers flare.
I love it. It's Don Avery trying to now get around the one. This is going to give the 76 an opportunity to come up here and get really close to that 11. Derek Heitman has definitely been showing a good bit of speed. He has been having, like I said, a quiet day. It has not been one of those ones where the headlines have been shining Derek Heitman, but he is definitely looking like he's going to be a top 5 contender here as he takes over 5th place.
Now look at how much pace the 24 of Powell and the 11 of Avery have made up since they got around the 1 of DeCiani. So now DeCiani finds himself all the way back in 6th place. I don't think it'll be long before he just continuously falls back. I think now he's actually off the pace. Looks like he's on pit road with 84 laps remaining in this thing. 60 laps on tires. I mean, hey, green flag pit stops are underway. This will or will not play out for him in his favor.
I don't think it's going to play off. I don't think it's going to pay off at all, just considering, I think he just became a cautionary tale to not go out there and burn your equipment up because you will find yourself being punished for it later.
Now, and the one thing that works out in your favor, but it doesn't here, because because we're running that full pit sequence, if you're on the back stretch of the pit, you can actually come right back out. You don't have to go all the way around. But everybody's on the front stretch, so that doesn't even matter. You got to go all the way around, and on this track, that's laps down that you're going to lose.
You just saw it on your screen there. You saw the 76 of Andrew Griesbaum taking itself down pit road. I'm sorry,
76?
76 of Derek Heitman, my fault.
Yeah, you're good.
But definitely a little early for him to be going down, but he seemed like he had a pretty good run on the long run.
The 31 of Mark Sanchez finds himself also down pit road. Now, these guys is going to be great, but here's what they don't want to see happen. If the caution flag were to come out, then that's just going to destroy all of those guys' hopes and dreams that are on pit road right now.
Very much so, as only 5 drivers are on the lead lap right now. If you go down Bristol or go down pit road under green at Bristol, you usually find yourself 2 laps down, maybe even more.
Yeah, minimum 2 laps.
And that's not even with a mistake. I mean, we always talk, I think, week in and week out about how important pit road is. If you make a mistake on pit road, it could be detrimental to your race at any other track. But if you make a mistake on pit road at Bristol, it's going to kill your race.
Yeah, especially if a untimely caution were to come out now, that would just destroy a lot of people. And you're going to have that issue because there's guys out there now that are going to be on fresh tires, and they're going to be coming up. I mean, we've got all kinds of different stints going on here. So right now, this is just a hodgepodge of stew.
Yeah, I mean, you just saw it kind of on your screen. Matt DeCiani drove right by Clayton Hoffman like he was standing still.
Yeah, but we still have 76 laps to go in this thing. So if you just go out there and you run that fast, you'll find yourself that slow very quickly. You know what I mean? It's still conservation time.
And look at this. I mean, all these guys on new tires, Jeffrey Souza, Derek Heitman, they're getting right around the leader here. And all Clayton can do is go ahead, wave him on by,
Yeah, the 5 Greg Wachinski now, he is coming down pit road. I don't know. What are you thinking? I'm staying out as long as I can. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to stay out and I'm going to wait on a caution.
I think that's the right choice, but Clayton doesn't seem to think so. He's actually going to be taking it down pit road as we speak.
And I think I think a lot of other people are going to follow. There's the 44 Drumhiller. He is following suit. Well, you had 6 drivers at that point that were actually still on the originals of 78 at Greasebomb. Now he is coming down pit road as well. So I think a lot of these guys are going to be rolling the dice saying, hey, look, I'm not faster than Clayton on good tires, on old tires. So, yeah, I'm coming down if he's coming down.
I don't know. I mean, I think Pageant could have a good idea. I mean, here, because I mean, you just mentioned it right before. You know, Clayton went down pit road. I'd be trying to stay out as long as I could, because if a caution comes out, those other guys have no chance now, because like they're not going to be able to get 2 laps back, and with just one caution. You know, so if it goes green from here and Mark Pageant, or, you know, or from that caution point, Pageant's going to be pretty much on the track by himself, as he is now. I do believe. I think he's getting ready to be the only driver on the lead lap.
Yep, that's right. Don Avery is in the 11 is down pit road right now. And, you know, and with the guys that are actually back out there on track having 13 and Jeffrey Souza with 24 laps on his equipment, I mean, you're right back to where you were before the green flag pit stops actually started happening. You just got a lot of different pace cars out there running a lot of different lines, and that's just problematic, Brian, at best.
See, Kenny Powell is actually also taking a pit stop here, coming off of pit road right now. Also, Wayne Grossi coming off. Yeah, now only one person on the lead lap.
Yeah, but I mean, he could still run another 40 laps if he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even blame him for doing so. I mean, because, I mean, all it takes is one little accident. You know, you might be struggling on speed right now, but...
Yeah, you're the only one on the lead lap, so you're just hoping, you know, you're just watching everybody and waiting on somebody to make that mistake, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like you're in your own little zip code. Of course, there are 2 people that are only 1 lap down, but most of the drivers are 2 laps down right now. A handful of them are 3.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very slippery slope right here.
Kenny Powell being one of those that are 3. Don Avery also 3 laps down. So surprising that those guys went 3 laps down there. So maybe a mistake on their stops.
Man, you got to run the long and the pack, the back and the front. So, I mean, that's what it is until these guys are actually able to get out there and run around and get that lap back.
You see Don Avery getting ready to get one of them back. Actually, just did get a lap back from Mark Pageant there. He's going to be, I do believe, now scored 2 laps down, or maybe actually 1. Oh, yeah, 2 laps down.
2 laps down, yeah.
Here comes Kenny Powell. He's now going to get to where he's just 2 laps down. Also, I do believe Derek Heitman actually just put himself 1 lap down.
So, yeah, still a very slippery slope that's out there where these drivers are different lines, different times, and that's just going to cause this thing to be volatile as Mark Pageant now finding himself taking the entrance to pit road.
Yeah, I think he went as long as he could on those tires. I mean, his last lap definitely not very quick, 16.4.
Yeah, but with 60 laps to go in this thing, I mean, he'll be able to go faster longer. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he did a little bit of an overcut to kind of have the newer tires later in the race.
That's definitely going to prove to be in his favor.
Jeffrey Souza now, I believe, going to inherit the lead here. Matt DeCiani going to be going up to 2nd place. Of course, these guys more not long pitted, but short pitted this stint here.
Souza, absolutely. Souza now having 36 laps on his equipment. So if this thing were to go all the way to the end, I mean, that would put him right at 100 laps or so. So I don't know. We'll have to definitely see how that works out. Sorry, I put him at like 90 laps.
That's definitely a long run there as we see Mark Pageant coming off of pit road. Look very, look a little sketchy though with Mark Pageant coming off pit road. Hopefully he did not get an unsafe pit exit. Yeah, very easy to do so here.
Souza would have 94 laps on his tires if he would actually run this thing green all the way to the end without pitting.
Yeah, because right now I think he's on 38 lap old tires. Matt DeCiani on only 28. Derek Heitman on 26. Clayton Hoffman 16. So I think Clayton, when all said and done, I think he's going to be able to catch up to these guys. But he is right now 12.6 seconds back behind our leader, Jeffrey Souza. See, Pageant has not left Clayton, or he is still right there. Pageant's going to have the new tires, too. He should be able to make short work of Clayton Hoffman here. Big difference in tires right now.
Yeah, Matt DeCiani finds himself almost back into the same situation that he was, in which he is going to have a hard time maintaining his position as Paget goes right by Hoffman, and now he is on the run.
Only 4 drivers are on the lead lap right now, so green flag pit stops have really hurt some of these guys. Maybe just didn't have the best stops. Or either way, you know, just not. You could lose a second on pit road here, and that just is an eternity on this racetrack. Just considering how small this track is. I mean, a second here is, you know, a 15th of a lap. You know. Very impressive drives from a lot of these drivers, though. I mean, they not giving up. That's for sure, and I think that's the key. This is a marathon, 250 laps here at this track. I mean, it does not go by quick. This is when the adrenaline is kicking in, and this is a track, Big Al, where the adrenaline definitely kicks in. And when the adrenaline kicks in, it has that effect to where it kind of slows down time a little bit. So this has probably felt like an eternity for some of these drivers.
Absolutely, and then it also depends on, you know, what your rig is like. You know, what kind of conditions are you sitting in, because this is a long race. So imagine, you know, not having a comfortable chair to sit in. You'd be struggling a little bit out there. As if I'm with Greg Wachinski now, trying to come and battle around the one of Matt DeCiani. Wachinski trying to pick up another one of his laps.
Here comes Kenny Powell also. He is sitting right now in 8th place, trying to catch up to Mark Sanchez and Greg Wachinski. Those are for position. I do believe he just passed Sanchez. Sanchez getting really loose out of the corner. Already you see DeCiani starting to struggle here because he did short pit a little bit too there.
Yeah, absolutely. He is right back in the same shoes that he was in before as the two of Paget tries to get around the 24 of Powell. Paget now trying to get his laps back and you know, definitely put that thing in the wind, because he can drive it as hard as he needs to. I don't think he has to really conserve or save anything.
I mean, Pageant's hitting a 16.2 that last time by Derek Heitman, 15.6. So definitely the guys behind Matt DeCiani are much quicker right now. So DeCiani definitely, say, struggling. I would even say Jeffrey Souza struggling. Last time by 16 flat. So, you know, those guys, I think they're paying for that decision. If a caution comes out, they would definitely be feeling a little bit better about their predicament.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's going to be the case as now the 92 of Clayton Hoffman makes it by 76 of Derek Heitman. There's a 78. He is out of sorts, but he pelted it right back in line just like that, looking like a consummate professional, man. These guys right here, they get you excited and they just take it away from you, Brian.
Speaking of Clayton Hoffman, like you said, he just got around Derek Heitman, takes over 3rd place. He is running much faster than the 2 that are in front of him. But right now, I do believe he's 7.7 seconds back from them. So he's still got a long way to go to catch up. Well, actually, not a long way to go to catch up to Matt DeCiani, but still quite a ways to go to catch up to Jeffrey Souza.
Souza 54 laps on his equipment. I think he's going to be slowing down pretty soon.
Well, he's already been slowing down quite a bit, but it just depends on how much. I mean, look at it. We got 38 laps here, or soon to be 38 laps here to go in this race. Can he hold on? If he does, he's going to be looking like a genius.
Well, it just depends on the longest that he's actually stayed in the saddle, and if he's got it and he can ride her, man, then take her to prom, you know. Take it to the bank.
Do you know what's really interesting though, Big Al? Mark Pageant, who long pitted it, has gotten himself back on the lead lap, and he is running faster than everybody in front of him. Do not count this 0-2 out.
And he doesn't have to conserve. It's like we said, when he came in, his pit delta was going to be right there around 65 laps. And so, I mean, right now, let's look at it like this. Jeffrey Souza is 58 laps on his tires right now. So I just don't. I mean, it's only going to get worse for him. So yeah, I think Mark Paget's probably going to be in the best position right here as far as longevity when it comes to the pit strategy of the race, if you will.
Also, Kenny Powell has just gotten himself back onto the lead lap, getting around Jeffrey Souza. So that gives us 7 on the lead lap. Definitely thought we were just going to have 4, but it looks like a lot of these guys, are going to work their way back up.
But see, this run right here is going to prove to be the longest run for a lot of these guys that are still out there. And I think that's what we're going to be looking to see. How well do these gentlemen fare with the long run? As you look at DeCiani now, he is getting passed by Derek Heitman. DeCiani all but barely hanging on, looks like.
Yeah, there goes Derek Heitman. He's going to take over 3rd place. Yeah, DeCiani has struggled on the short runs. I mean, it's unfortunate to see it, but it has been a problem. And he struggled on the long runs, I should say. And I think it is because of how good his short run is. I mean, it's so easy to fall into that temptation. But now, he's going to be getting caught quickly by, I do believe, Mark Paget. Looking at the time delta here, Paget, I do believe, is just a couple seconds back. He's gaining.
Providing that the 78 and the 7 are actually going to be able to get by him, because there's about a 10 lap delta on their tires. But DeCiani's not an easy guy to pass. So the 78 of Andrew Griesbaum definitely having his hands full. Now they got the lap traffic of Randy Drumhiller is going to be ahead of them as well. So I think this right here is where we're going to be watching that, because as we say in the South, this has got the potential to be a supercell.
Yeah, definitely potential for a caution or something like that to come out. It could cause some issues for some drivers out here. But luckily, all race long, we have not seen a wreck that has caused a caution, which is it's nuts at Bristol. It is nuts.
Ooh, there comes the 2 of Paget. He is on the inside of the 7 of Grassi. Grassi's going to be high. Here he comes. He's going to be trying to stay on the inside of Drumhiller as well. Look at how the 2 just caught up and maneuvered through these guys. Now he's going to be trying to get by the 78 of Griesbaum. Looks like he's not going to have any problems with that, as he is now on the inside. And go, Paget, go.
Yeah, and that means he's going to be setting his sights now on Derek Heitman. No one in between them, but they're an opportunity right now. He's going to be trying to work his way back up into the top 3. Mark Paget only a little bit of 5.5 seconds back from the leader right now. He is running down everybody in front of him, and could even be a contender to win. I mean, even though we only have 25 laps to go, he is running some lap times that are really quick, and he's going to catch up to these guys quicker than I think we expect him to.
I'm not surprised. He's doing exactly what he set out to do, and like we said, he did not have to conserve. Now Jeffrey Souza, the leader right now, has got 70 laps on his tires, and that is definitely to his detriment. He is not running blazing fast times. Paget's already made it all the way back up to P3, and so now with plenty of time left, it's just a matter of him just getting that pony to the direction that it needs to go and holding on.
Yeah, he's definitely got his hand out the window, banging on the door there, saying, "Come on, baby, let's go," as Clayton Hoffman catches up to the back here of Jeffrey Souza. Going to be trying to take the lead over. Oh, Clayton getting really loose out of the corner, but he's going to be able to get side by side and make easy work of the 14.
Yeah, absolutely. They got 21 lap difference on their tires. So the 14, I think, it's just like I said about the one. I think now you're going to see Jeffrey Souza kind of start to fall back a little bit. But look at the 2, because all he has now in front of him is clean air. And he is going to be trying to put the charge on Clayton Hoffman. Clayton Hoffman now with 52 laps on his tires, which means that before this thing would be over, he would have 70-plus laps on his tires, and he would be almost as slow as Jeffrey Souza is right now.
And now only 3 seconds separate Mark Paget and Clayton Hoffman. Of course, Paget still has to navigate around Jeffrey Souza. I don't think it's going to be a difficult thing to do, but it still could slow him down a little bit and provide just enough of a buffer that Clayton's going to be able to manage that gap.
Oh,
who
you're
knows?
praying.
Pageant could even have, he could have burnt his tires up a little bit trying to get to where he's at right now. I mean, he's hitting 15.7 right now. Clayton Hoffman hitting a 15.854, so not very much difference. I don't know if it's going to be enough. I don't think Pageant's going to have enough time.
Well, we just got to see how this thing plays out as the 11 Adam Avery now is coming up on the 78 degrees bomb. He's definitely a little bit squirrely. I think he's got his hands and his feet full trying to navigate that 11 machine right now. But he's going to squeak by the 78 with no problems. And now, if Greasebomb can hold off the 7 of Grassi, I think he'd be doing okay. But these two will actually be competing for position as well.
And we talked about Matt DeCiani earlier falling back. He is now back into the 7th position. Got passed by Kenny Powell just recently. Looking here, Powell, a little bit of a distance in between him and Avery. And Avery, this season, has been such a, I'd say he's grown so much. I mean, he has been, we've seen him have some problems in a lot of races, but I swear, the last few weeks, he has been really putting himself into prime position to get these top 5s and even have a chance to win some of these races. Yeah,
Drumhiller just swiping that outside wall. Not a good look, and I know that didn't feel too good to the right front of that car, but he is still rolling just like that. And now Mark Paget up to P2, and he can smell Clayton Hoffman. I mean, he has got but 12 laps to get it done. He's going to roll by the 5 of Greg Wachinski.
Looking at lap times here, though, I think Pageant has burnt his equipment up, though. Last time by at 15.947 versus Clayton Hoffman's 15.902. I mean, that could be because he's having to deal with lap traffic,
That was traffic.
We'll have to wait and see. But traffic is still a factor that could slow him down and not allow him to catch him. I mean, like you just said, we're really close to the end of this thing. At Bristol, the lap times go by so fast, or the laps go by so fast.
We're 10 to go. Yeah, we're 10 to go. And once he gets by the 44, then the only thing in between him and Clayton is going to be Matt DeCiani. And I don't know. This is going to be a long shot because now Clayton has got 63 laps on his tires. Paget's down to 50, so.
Yeah, definitely interesting conundrum. I just don't think he's going to have enough time here. But what a shock this race has been, has went completely green except for the stages. I hate to put the curse on it, but I almost wish a caution would come out at this point.
Ladies and gentlemen, those of you just joining us, I don't know what Brian is talking about. I don't think Clayton wants to see a caution, and I know Paget doesn't want to see a caution.
I'm not Clayton, though. Going to be 5 laps to go here when Clayton Hoffman crosses the line. He's still got 3.3 seconds back to Mark Paget. It's still going to be a very good point stay for Paget. I think he was the only one that really was able to tussle with Clayton on the longer run. He stayed with him quite a bit, though. He did that over, pit there. It did, it worked out for him well, but not well enough. As we're going to have, I do believe, 4 laps to go here next time by. Actually, 4 laps to go now.
Yeah, Sousa's going to be, definitely threading the needle there. He is hoping that this thing could get over sooner.
Yeah, he's definitely probably looking at his relative pretty hard right now.
90 laps on his tires. And if he could hold off Derek Heitman for just a couple more laps, he is going to put it on the podium.
We'll have to wait and see if he's able to do it. I think he can. And, what an accomplishment. We saw earlier in this race whenever he, didn't really necessarily have too long of a run, and he was struggling very, very much. But I think he's gotten his handling woes a little bit better right now. He's not running fast, but he's not really struggling.
Well, Clayton just decided to put on his track shoes there with those 2 laps to go, and he has just run away with this thing.
And he has. The final lap, white flag is out. Clayton Hoffman just got a couple more corners to navigate here. As he crosses the line, he is our winner for the Sugarland 250. Mark Paget going to come home in 2nd place. Jeffrey Sousa in 3rd. Derek Heitman in 4th. Don Avery going to come home 5th. 6th place, Kenny Powell. 7th, Matt DeCiani. 8th, Greg Wachinski. 9th, Andrew Griesbaum. And 10th, Mark Sanchez.
That's going to put Wayne Grassi in 11th with Randy Drumhiller in 12th. Josh Schaffner, Chris Johnson, John Mullins, and Paul Olsen all out of their vehicles at the end of this thing. But way to go, guys. 12 cars finishing this thing under their own power. With that, we're going to take a brief step away, and we'll be back with our post-race show.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We've been watching Clayton Hoffman doing a huge celebration there after his win here. He has won all 3 races, Big Al, of the playoffs so far. Isn't that something?
Way to go, Clayton.
100%. Well, now I do believe we are joined in the booth by our 3rd place finisher, Jeffrey Souza. You completed a little over 90 laps on that run just now, 94 to be exact. How was that car feeling? It had to be hurting.
To tell you guys honestly, I kind of, we were talking to Discord about when people are going to pit, and I said, I'm going to throw the dice at it, and I pitted really early there, and Mark and Don were like, wow, that's crazy. And I said, no, it'll work out. I only took right sides when I pitted there because I've been struggling with being tight all week. So I was like, you know what? Let's roll the dice. We'll take 2. Hopefully I'll get a caution when I'm in the lead. Obviously that didn't happen, but I ended up jumping, I think, 3 or 4 spots from where I would have been. So I'll be happy with the 3rd. I'll take it.
I definitely could have worked out to your favor. I mean, I know a lot of guys are kind of gambling. I know Mark Pageant to be, Frank, you had that long pit, and if a caution that came out there, a lot of guys are going to lock the lap down. But how do you feel about this whole thing? Only cautions we saw were the stage cautions. Isn't that just nuts?
Yeah, I was honestly surprised. I know there was a few incidents during the race that didn't end up being cautions because they were far off track, but that just tells you how great this group of guys are that were able to race, hard with each other, but not wreck each other.
100%, man. Well, I know you had to have been making some adjustments to the race car, because I know earlier in the race we saw you really struggle on the longer run. Were you making adjustments out there?
Yeah, I threw a bunch of changes with air pressures on the 2 stage cautions, and then I even threw a cross adjustment there when I took the 2 tires under green. So, by the end of that run there, I honestly felt like I had finally gotten into a rhythm to where I could be competitive. But obviously being on, 40, 50 lap old tires compared to some of these guys at that point, tire wear was my enemy.
Hey, still able to get a strong 3rd place finish for sure. Definitely going to help you out in the playoffs. Well, man, definitely going to be excited to go next week. I do believe we're going to be trying to think about that. My brain just stopped there for a second. I can't think of the next race. Texas. Sorry about that. Texas. So that's going to be an interesting one. I mean, not a lot of people's favorite mile and a half. How do you feel about it?
Well, if the first race right there means anything, I say we run the iRacing fixed setup, and I'll be a happy camper. But either way, I was talking to a couple guys this past week. We started testing yesterday. Like you said, it's not really a good track for a lot of people, but I like the track. I like that it's a little bit, it's very different than a mile and a half that you'd go to normally, with how 1, 2 is so flat, and then the heavy banking in 3 and 4. You definitely have to set the car up to be able to get a good run off 2, but not scrape the ground in 3. So I think it'll be a good race. There's a lot more tire wear than what we had when we were there in the spring. So I think between that tire wear and then how that track races in general, I think we're going to have a pretty good race next week.
Yeah, definitely will be. like you said, 1 and 2 almost has a little bit somewhat short track tendencies. We can't wait to see it. I think it's all about, a lot of the mile and a half, you kind of try to have a rhythm at those tracks. That's a different song that track's playing there for sure. But man, who could we shout out after your third place finish here tonight?
I gotta thank everybody out at Triad. They do a hell of a job putting this thing together. Andrew Skelnick, this setup was based off what he had this week, and he left us earlier this week, but all the work that he did when he was with us, definitely thank him. And then obviously Mark for helping me before the race, and Don as well with getting my runs down, and then Stent and Eliza for helping us every week. Without their numbers, I wouldn't know how long I'm off on a 50 lap run. And Susan Media obviously as well. And then I want to do one more last shout out to Carl, who still trying to get better for him. So we're hoping he'll be back sometime next week or maybe at Talladega. But again, everyone at Triad, thanks a lot.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Jeffrey. We'll talk to you next week.
Careful.
That is Jeffrey Souza, our third place finisher here tonight. Big Al's got the big mover here tonight, the one that almost was able to tussle there with Clayton Hoff, and Mark Pageant.
Mark Pageant, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Man, if I only had 5 more laps, I think that's the song that was playing in your head right there. You gave it a heck of a run at the end, but just came up a little bit short. But, man, you had a fast car all night long. So tell us, what were the keys to that, keeping that thing fast for so long?
Yeah, saving tires, you probably saw at the beginning of that last stage, I just stayed behind Clayton and saved tires. That was the biggest thing. And then after I did that, Clayton could pull away from me a little bit, and I said, well, I got to do something different on the pit stop. So that's why I stayed out, 5 to 8 laps, whatever it was, longer than him. I was hoping for that caution.
Yeah, you stayed out definitely considerably. I think it was like 13 laps actually, but yeah, that late race caution did not come, but you definitely you stayed out longer than anybody else to actually give you a shorter run. Do you think you stayed out a little bit too long? Do you think that run was just you didn't have enough time?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I knew if I stayed out like that, I wasn't going to catch Clayton for the win. So I was actually surprised I got down within 4 seconds of him. But, that was a roll of the dice. I knew I wanted playoff points. That was the name of the game tonight, basically being locked in on points to the next round anyway. So it's all about playoff points and trying to do something different tonight.
Well, you definitely cleaned up when it came to playoff points, because you were first in the first stage, second in the second stage, and you finished this thing tonight in second. So that's a strong performance no matter how you look at it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I hope that you like Texas as much as you like Bristol. So because that's where we're headed next week, and what are you thinking that's going to look like for you guys?
Yeah, that's going to be different. Texas is not my favorite place like these short tracks are. I love short tracks. Mile and a halfs are probably my weakest, to be honest. But Texas is different. If it turns into a tire management race, I'm pretty good at that. So as long as the setup's close and we can save tires, we should do pretty good over there.
Yeah, definitely. You showed tonight that you could definitely save tires, making the longest run out there for that green flag pit stop. But man, congratulations again on P2. Before we let you go, who was shouting out for you tonight?
Yeah, not to echo what Jeffrey said, but basically the same thing. Triad, thanks for all the work testing this week. Skelly, thanks for the good base to start with this week. We're going to miss you. And Carl, get well soon. And then, of course, all our sponsors, Stent Analyzer. We wouldn't have the data we do without it. And Susan Media, and then Caterpillar for me. So thanks to our sponsors and our team.
Man, congratulations again. Solid performance, man. I cannot echo that enough. Love to watch what you did there tonight. I mean, you actually did give Clayton a run for his money. I was rooting for you all the way. I thought you would have had it, but you just came up a little bit short. Good luck to you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks for the good broadcast, guys.
Alrighty, that was our second place finisher, Mark Pageant. Great job to him for sure. Next up, we got the man himself. Every race in the playoffs we've had so far, he has won it. This is his third, Clayton. I mean, this has got to be building a huge bit of momentum for you.
Oh yeah, we're rolling pretty good. Next week, what is it, Texas? I love mile and a halfs. They're my favorite tracks, and I'm expecting to be rolling there too. kind of thought there's a possibility I might miss a race here in the next coming weeks, but I'm not for sure yet. So it just kind of depends on my work schedule. So I just kind of wanted to make sure I was good or as good as I possibly could be going into the later rounds.
Now we saw you, consciously making that effort to save tire. There was a lot of times in the stages, and the late race stage, I guess I could say, you were kind of backing off, not really trying to get the potential out of that race car. That was a conscious effort, right, to try to save tire.
Absolutely. This track's a concrete track, so just due to the surface type, it's pretty abrasive, and since it's Bristol, high bankings, high corner speed. I mean, it's pretty easy to push hard, and with this tire, if you push hard, your tires are going to fall off, no matter how good your setup is.
Yeah, definitely can see that for sure out there on the racing surface. Now, what was the difference here between I'd say the Gen 6 and the Gen 7? Because I know we really didn't get to see that of course, when we put dirt on this racetrack.
Uh, I'll be honest, Brian. I kind of missed your question there, but
I'm sorry about
there.
that. I was asking,
Go
the
ahead.
Gen 6 versus the Gen 7 at this place. We kind of got robbed there at the Bristol dirt track. But how was the difference there? I mean, it seems like in the Gen 6 you ran the top. Here it seemed like it was more dominant on the bottom.
Oh yeah, it really just comes down to the suspension of the car and the underbody. With this car, if you bottom out, it's really bad. With the Gen 6, I mean, you didn't want to bottom out, but you could bottom out, and it would only hurt you a certain amount, and you could really just adjust the car to overcome it. This car, you're a lot more limited in your adjustments, and bottoming out the rear end is an absolute no-no. At least at short tracks, you can bottom out a little bit at some other track types, but at short tracks, you bottom out, you're losing all your grip, you're losing all your handling, and it's just in for a bad time. So it really just came down to entering in that middle line, cutting down for a low exit.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like that was the call to make here for sure. Well, great job on your win here. You kind of already answered my question about Texas coming up. I mean, you feeling very confident about that place? I mean, I know you've already kind of turned some laps there.
I've turned a couple laps. Yeah, just with the mile and a half. I mean, or the mile and a half type tracks. Darlington, I guess I said it after that race, it really didn't fall into the mile and a halves category, even though it is almost a mile and a half track. But Kansas, Michigan, Pocono, we're really fast all those tracks, and I kind of expect Texas to run a similar pattern to those three. So I think it'll be pretty good.
Well, hopefully you don't miss it. Hopefully all things are well. I know you said you might miss a race or two coming up here in the season. We hope everything's going fine for you for sure. Well, man, after this big win at the Sugarland 250, who can we give a shout out to, Clayton?
Shout out Legacy Esports, Reaper Speed Labs, Green Mountain Grills, Black Sun Management, Champion, Allegiant. Yeah, I don't know if the truck race is over. It's probably already over. I got to see how Caden did.
It is.
One of our guys was in the race, and he almost wrecked on both his qualifying laps. So I'm ready to go see how he did in the actual race. Hopefully, he didn't wreck.
And I'm
So,
assuming you're talking about Caden Honeycutt. I know he's a
yeah,
avid
oh yeah,
short track racer. I actually was able to watch him at the Snowball Derby, I do believe, in 2019.
yeah. I love Caden. He's fun to hang out with over when we work on Coke stuff and getting ready for races. Talking about road to pro and stuff. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, big fan of him. And then yeah, we also got Parker. I think Parker is going to be racing next weekend at Texas in the Xfinity Series. So I'm looking forward to that. He's a pretty funny guy. So shout out to those two guys too. Hopefully they can. Or hopefully Caden did good. Hopefully Parker will do good.
All right, man. Well, we definitely appreciate your time as always, Clayton, and congratulations on your third win in the playoffs. Definitely going to be sealing the deal to make you a real championship threat. But when are you not a championship threat? Thanks for your time, man.
Thank you, guys.
It's Clayton Hoffman, our winner here for the Sugarland Distilling Company 250. What a race it was tonight, Big Al. I mean, we saw this thing go completely green except for the stages. I mean, I even tried to throw the broadcaster's curse out there and it didn't work.
Yeah, you don't have that on those big jobs, Brian. But these guys, it just goes to show the caliber of the drivers that are racing in the ISCA, man. So for anybody out there that's watching this and thinks that you got what it takes, well, contact Kenny Powell and see if we can't get you on here, maybe to the Saturday night broadcast. But thank you, Brian, for being the consummate professional and the awesome host. And I'm just happy to be your assistant.
I was the assistant tonight. But I appreciate it either way, Big Al. Man, what a race this was. Love Bristol. Hate to see it go, but luckily we're still going to have Saturday to watch, and I think that one's just going to be just as crazy as we've seen quite some great finishes there in that Saturday series. So
Yeah.
make sure you tune in.
I think they owe us some cautions on Saturday.
Oh, they're definitely going to have to have some cautions there. I mean, if they go green too, I'm gonna be very shocked, as I was shocked here about tonight's race. I mean, 16 cars entered. That is still enough for usually a lot of cautions, especially based on the A opens I ran this week. But what a race it was! As I mentioned, tune in to the race on Saturday. Going to be around 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be going live here with the. I do believe I still think it's the Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. Definitely looking forward to seeing what those guys have in store for us. Race going to be probably going green around 9, or qualifying going to start at 9:30 p.m. Race starts probably 5 minutes after that. So make sure you tune in. You don't want to miss that action because it's going to be a heck of a race. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you next time.